In this video I'm going to show you how to use the painting Photoshop action. So the way the action works is you open up your photo, you simply brush your subject with the color and just play the action. And here's the effect that the action creates. So as you can see, what the action does, it transforms the photo into a highly detailed and realistic painting effect. And the result that you get are fully layered, so there is a lot of options for customizing the results after the action is finished. And the action also creates 25% color looks that you can choose from. And also the action is made so that every time you run the action you will get unique result, even if you use the same brush area. So you will always get unique brush strokes variation, and you can create unlimited number of results. Alright, so let me just close these two windows now. So after you open up your photo, before you use the action, there are just a few things you should check just to make sure that the action will run without any errors. So the first thing you should check is that your photo is the background layer. So it should be called background and have this little lock icon. And if you have something like this or anything else, just go to layer, new, and choose a background from layer. Then click on this main icon over here and choose panel options, and make sure that this option here, the add copy to copied layers and groups, is checked. Then go to the image mode and make sure your photo is the RGB color mode 8-bit Canon. Also check the image size from here. So for best results you should use the images that are around from 20 to 40, 100 pixels wide or high. Okay. Now to load the action, go to Window, Actions, click on the main icon over here, Load Actions, and here just choose the action from a folder according to your Photoshop version. Select the action file, choose Load, and the action will appear here in your Actions panel when you open up the folder, find two actions here. Now to load the brushes, you can just hit B on your keyboard, right click anywhere inside the canvas, click on the gear icon, load brushes, and again just choose the brushes from a folder according to a Photoshop version. Select the brushes file, choose Load. The brushes will appear here in your brushes panel. And we need to load the pattern file more, so you can choose the pattern stamp tool from here, click in the arrow icon, gear icon, load patterns, and again choose the pattern from a folder according to a Photoshop version. Select the pattern file, choose Load, and the pattern will appear here in your patterns panel. Alright, so all you have to do now is to just go to Layer, New Layer, to create a new layer, and name it Brush. It's very important that you type the brush exactly like this, all letters lowercase, because otherwise the action won't work. Choose OK. And now while the brush layer is selected, hit B on your keyboard to select the brush tool. Right click anywhere inside the canvas, pick a soft brush, and you can choose any color here, color pick doesn't matter. And all you need to do is to simply brush over your subject. Just like this, okay? So I've already done the brushing before, so just gonna open up my PSD file. Here it is. Okay, so I finished the brushing, and once more it's important that you have this color fill on your brush layer. Right? So before you play the action you need to have the background layer, your original photo layer, and another brush layer with the color fill that you made. Alright, so all you have to do now is just select the painting action here and click play. And I'm going to fasten the video here, and I'm going to get back when the action is finished, and then I'm going to go throughout all the layers to show you how each layer works, how it affects the design, and how can you customize it. Alright, so the action has just finished, so I'm just going to close down the action panel for now, and I'm going to expand a little bit this layers panel. So the first thing that you probably want to do each time you run the action is to just quickly close down all these folders. So how can you quickly do that? So just hold Ctrl and Alt button for PC or Command Option for Mac, and while the painting folder is selected, just click on this little arrow here, and that way we're going to close down all the folders. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hide all the layers, and then I'm going to start turning them on one by one, because that way you'll better understand how each layer works and how it affects design and how can you customize it. Alright, so I'm just gonna hide all the layers, and we're gonna start customizing the effect from the bottom. So the first layer that we got here is our original photo layer, or the background layer. Right, and the next one we got here is the background painting, and I'm just gonna turn them on one by one. So as you can see, each of these layers contains new brush strokes and creates more details. So what you can do here, you can play with the opacities of these layers. So all layers that you customize by changing the opacity, you can change the opacity either by clicking on the word opacity and just drag it aside, just like this. right? Or you can click on this arrow here and just drag the slider left or right. Okay. And what you can also do is all these layers have their layer mask, so you can select the layer mask of some specific layer and pick a brush tool, choose a soft brush and set foreground color to black, and you can brush over any brush stroke that you don't like and you want to remove it. Alright, you can hide and show layers to see where is the brush stroke that you wish to remove, and then just select that layer, select the layer mask, and simply brush over it to remove it. Alright, the next one we got here is the subject painting. So these brush strokes are only visible over the brushed area or your subject area, right? So as you can see, it's also layered. So what I'm going to do, I'm just gonna hide all the layers and turn them one by one. And you can see how these brush strokes are smaller and they're providing more details, right, than the background painting brush strokes. So they're getting smaller and smaller, and these two here are the smallest brush strokes, giving the most details of the photo. And as you can see, all these layers have lowered opacity to 60%. So what you can do is you can change their opacity. You can also select one layer, shift click on the last one to select them all, and then just change the opacity to all layers at the same time. And these layers also have the layer mask, so you can remove any unwanted brush strokes. So what I'm going to do now is just going to remove some brush strokes. So I'm going to select the layer mask, pick a soft brush, set foreground color to black, and brush over the strokes that you want to remove. Okay. Just like that. So I'm just going to check out if there are some other strokes that need to be removed. It seems like they're out of place. Okay, just like that. Alright, so that's it. And I'm gonna leave default opacities, and what you can also do is you can select the layer mask here of the subject painting folder, and you can expand this area, so you can change foreground color to white, and you can just brush over any areas where you wish to reveal these smaller the subject painting brush strokes, right? Or you can brush with the black color and make these areas smaller, or actually remove the subject painting brush strokes over area that you like. Alright, and the next layer we got here is the reveal original photo, or it says here in the brackets brush white into mask. So what you can do with this layer, you can select the layer mask, pick a brush tool, select the soft brush, set foreground color to white, and simply brush over the areas where you wish to reveal more details. Okay, just like that. And what you can do then is you can just adjust the opacity as you like. Okay. And the next one we got here is the subject details folder. Just going to turn it on. And as you can see, this folder is actually going to reveal a lot of details of the subject. So when you open the folder, what we got here are the highlights. Okay, so you can adjust the opacity here, just gonna say it like this, and I'm gonna select this layer mask, set foreground color to black. I'm just gonna remove this highlight here that seems like it's out of place. Okay, and the next layer we got here is the shadows layer. So this layer is revealing the highlights of the photo. This one here is revealing the shadows of the photo, of the subject actually, because we have the layer mask here, the same as we got for the subject painting. So you can also change it by brushing black or white into this layer mask. Right now, subject details are visible only in your brush area or the subject area. Alright, so I'm just gonna adjust the shadows. And last we got here is the reveal more details layer. So I'm just gonna set it like this, and I'm gonna remove this highlight. Alright, so as I already mentioned, you can select these layer mask here and brush with the black if you wish to remove these details over any area, or if you wish to reveal the subject details on additional layers, you can just brush with the white color, just like that. Okay, and the next one we got here are the textures. So just gonna turn it on, and what we got here are the three texture layers. So the first we got here is the canvas texture. Okay, and what you can do is you can change the opacity of this layer. Right, I'm just gonna leave it default. And the next layer we got here is the brush strokes layer. Right, so as you can see, this layer is going to reveal a lot more brush strokes and give more details to the design. So what you can do is you can click with this arrow here and choose the pattern overlay from here, and now you can adjust the opacity of these brush strokes, or you can also scale them, so you can make them smaller or larger, however you like. Right, I'm just gonna keep it default. And one more thing that you can do is if you need to adjust the brightness of this texture, which is too bright on some areas or too dark on some areas, what you can do is after you finish with customizing texture here, you can just go to the layer, new adjustment layer, levels, to create a new levels adjustment layer, and press Ctrl Alt and G, or Command Option and G on your keyboard to select the to create a clipping mask or the brushstrokes layer. And now here you can use the sliders to adjust the brightness of the texture layer here, but before that what you need to do is you need to right click on the brushstrokes layer and choose Rasterize layer style. So now you can't make any changes like scale to the brushstrokes, and just changing blending mode to a soft light here. Okay, so now just select the levels adjustment layer, and you'll see that as you move the sliders, you're going to adjust the brightness of the texture. So this one here, this slider here is actually boosting the shadows of the texture. This one is going to boost the highlights. This one can boost or fade the midtones, and we got here additional two sliders. This one is fading the shadows, this one is fading the highlights. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm just gonna fade a little bit the highlights of the texture. Okay, just like that. And what you need to do after you create this layer, if you create this layer, is to control click on the brushstrokes layer to select both layers at the same time, and then press Control or Command and D on the keyboard to merge them into one layer, and then just change the blending mode to soft light again, and name this layer brushstrokes. And this is very important because if you create dead level layers, you need to do these steps. If you are not creating the level layers, then of course you don't need to do anything like this. So this is important because using the other action later, the action update emboss and sharpening, and because that you need, if you create that levels adjustment layer, you need to merge it with the texture layer and name this layer brushstrokes, right? So the next one we got here is the emboss layer. So what this layer does is just going to add that 3D effect to the brush strokes and make the whole effect look much more realistic. But as we have made many changes here, this layer needs to be updated. So what I'm going to do, just going to hide it for now, and later we're going to update it together with the sharpening layer using this action over here. Alright, so now the next layer we got here is the color looks folder, and when you open the folder, you can find 25 color looks that you can choose from. All you have to do is to select the color look layer, turn it on, see how it looks, and if it doesn't work well with your photo, simply turn it off and try with another. And what you can also do is you can combine a few of color looks, and that is exactly what I'm going to do here with this example. So I'm just gonna turn on this layer here, and I'm gonna lower its opacity. Then I'm gonna turn on this color look here, and again I'm gonna adjust the opacity. Alright, and then I'm going to turn on this layer here. I'm gonna leave default opacity. I'm just gonna go a few steps back just to adjust a little bit these painting layers. I'll just reveal a bit more details here. Okay, and that's it. So the next we got here after the color looks is the overall contrast. So you can just turn it on, and how to adjust the contrast is you just change the opacity of this layer. I'm gonna set it like this. Okay, and the next one we got here is the overall vibrance and saturation layer. So what you can do is just double click on this layer thumbnail, and here using these sliders you can adjust the vibrance and saturation. So just gonna increase them just like that. And the next layer we got is the overall brightness. So again, the same as we did for the texture layer, you got 5 sliders here for the shadows, midtones, highlights, and 2 additional for shadows, highlights. You can just drag them to the side to adjust them as you like. So I'm just gonna keep this layer default. Alright, and the next we got here is the auto sharpening layer. So if you made any changes to the design, to the painting layers and other, what we need to do is we need to update this layer the same as we need to do it for the emboss layer. So if you made any changes to the design, you need to update these 2 layers. So how can you do that? You can just select the update, emboss, and sharpening action and just click play. Alright, here it is, the action. You just updated both sharpening and emboss layers. So just gonna hide the sharpening for now. So here's the emboss layer. You can just opacity here. Just gonna leave it default. And here we got the auto sharpening layer. So how you adjust the sharpening is you just change the opacity. Okay, and the last we got here is the brush layer. That's the brush layer that we made at the beginning of the video. So as I have mentioned on the beginning, this action is made so that every time you run the action you'll get unique result, even if you use the same brush area. Which means that if you just remove this painting folder and play the action again, you'll get unique result. You'll get unique brush strokes variation every time you run the action. Alright? So you can always run the action a few times to get a few different variations and choose the one that you like the most, and then further customize it as the result that you get is fully layered. Alright? So let's just quickly check the before and after effect. So this is the before, and this is the after effect. Alright, so I hope you understood everything, but if you still need any help or you got any questions, feel free to contact me anytime via my Avatar profile page. Thanks for watching.